Yo, what's good everybody? This is Suheel back with Feel Good Threads, and today we're going to show you the basics of reconstruction. Today I'm going to show you guys how to take off the Jordan 1 outsole off of these Jordan 1 Laser Blues. With that said, let's get it.
Why you upset like Cinderella teens? You should see the things I finish inside these denim jeans. I can't associate with y'all, this shit like ketamine. Been on one, been on two, been on everything. Bitch, I'm with my gang, with my squad, what the fuck you want? So be rolling gas, I can't hang, bitch, I'm fucking gone. I got people down from the jump, better know your bonds. I got people just tuning.
Alright guys, so I've got the sole insert taken out here. I've got a couple of small notches that got torn, nothing too crazy, so this is still usable. You guys could see that along the line of the sole, there's a white stitching that kind of keeps the upper here intact. And this is what we're gonna try to take off today, is this bottom sole, all right? Now, the way we do that, usually they're either glued on or some people tape them on, but you have to loosen this section up first. So this section here has to be loosened up. You guys could see that I'm holding some strings here. And what that is this white stitching that's on the outside combined with a blue stitching that's on the inside. So this is the thread that I've already taken out. It has some kind of glue or adhesive on it here. Not a big deal, but I have to locate where this white thread here correlates to the outside here, okay? So now that I know that if I point at it here, I flip this guy over, it's just about this little section here. So let's get that guy loose. And you can see this is why I use a stapler remover, because it's soft enough to pry in and pull out that first couple of thread lines here. A lot of people like to save this original thread because afterwards they'll restitch the Jordan 1 sole, and they know that this sole thread right here is the exact size that they need. All right guys, so I can pull that out. You see how I just got that one pulled out? This is the beginning of this outsole thread. So now that I have this out, what I do is I get into the next little notch here. As you get in the notch, I try to pry it up and outside of this sole line. Mind you, it might take a couple of tries in the beginning. It'll loosen up. There we go. See, and now you'll see that this line here will start to follow through and out. So let's go ahead and take it out. There we go. And now what I'll do is I'll hold this guy tight and I'll yank it. And I'll yank it away from the shoe. You'll see that the inside thread line there is visible, and so we'll just keep going in and prying and picking them out one at a time. See that the turquoise here, that's the inside stitching that's locking this thing in. We're gonna pry it off, take it off, and again we will take this one and pull it. It'll expose another turquoise line. Gotta break that bond between the two. That's the interlock between the two, and then pull again. So we're going to continue this process all the way through until we can get this white thread out. Once that white thread is out, then we know that we've got a separation between the sole and the actual upper. All right, y'all, so I'm getting to the last part of taking out the threading. It's a pretty simple process. At the end of it, it started to get looser and looser, so I didn't even need to use the stapler remover. I was basically just yanking it, and I could see the thread kind of loosening up by itself. Let me just go ahead and finish up this portion here, and then we're gonna get to the next step. You guys can see how loose that gets now. I could just literally take it out by hand. There we go. And you can reuse the thread. It's actually the perfect length for the Jordan 1, so you don't want to throw this away. But in case you do throw this away, you want to find some other thread, you want to make sure that the thickness and strength is here. A lot of people end up using, for example, automobile or marine thread because it's thick and it's very strong. All right, so let's go ahead and put this to the side. The next step is now getting this portion here unglued. And the way you do that, we're gonna go ahead and use some acetone today, all right? If you have a heat gun, that's also recommended, but that'll be used in the later portion of this tutorial. Before I start dropping some acetone in here and spilling all over the place, I like to put something underneath it that can help absorb the acetone in case it spills outside of the shoe. So I found a box here. It's just a regular cardboard box. It's actually the box that these shoes came in. I'm gonna lay the acetone on the inside, and in case it starts to spill out, it'll just get on top of the actual cardboard. Cardboard is great for actually absorbing acetone, and it dries pretty fast as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay down just enough of a layer of acetone where it's gonna cover just this top portion here of the sole, all right? Anything more than that is just, you're just wasting acetone. So I'm trying to conserve as much material as possible, but you guys will see that when I drop this in. It can cause a mess. That's why I like to have something underneath it. And if you look on the inside now, you could see that I could swish the acetone back and forth. And I like to do that because that way it gets in all sections of the sole, and it starts to do what it needs to do, which is dissolving that glue back into a liquid state. At the same time, it weakens the bond as well. So that's really what we're trying to get at right now, is just trying to weaken the bond between this upper and the bottom sole. So as you guys see that I'm kind of swishing the acetone around, it's starting to fall out the crevices and stuff. And this is exactly why it's a good idea to have something underneath your shoe, because it's gonna spill. It's inevitable that you're gonna spill acetone. So side note, if you got a nice jersey on or something, nice clothing on, you don't wanna have any jewelry and stuff like that on as well, because you don't want acetone to get all over it. Now, if you look, see all the acetone's already dried from it. And I'm talking about in a matter of minutes, because one of the properties of acetone, it dries super quick, but at the same time, it's a very strong solvent. So you don't want to be getting it all over your hands. You want to get it in minimal places, and it's very, very strong. So you want to make sure that your area is well ventilated so you're able to breathe and you're safe. Now what I like to do is, and you guys could see this, is I will press into the shoe like this. I'm gonna press it like this, and as I press it, you should start to see the seam loosen up, all right? So let's go ahead and start to do that right now. Again, this has not been 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just basically preparing the shoe to start to unwind itself. So watch this, guys. I'm gonna just press it together, and you can see the glue. See that? That glue is starting to unwind. So I like to do that because it starts to slowly get off the actual sole. And you guys could see that I didn't really put in any work into doing this. It's literally just the acetone here. So I'm just squeezing it together, trying to give the acetone a chance to dissolve the glue, but at the same time, I'm putting a little bit of pressure to take the shoe off it at the same time. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the whole shoe and do that. Again, we're just trying to prime the beginning, the sides here, the edges, to peel off. As I'm doing it, I'm pressing against right where the sole and the upper meet as well, all right? If you see threads like this, you wanna try to get them separated as well, because this thread, they're still holding the shoe together. You wanna try to loosen them up. Let's see if I could just press here. And you don't want to like pull or be too aggressive with the sole, because when the product is finished and you have the sole by itself, the last thing you want is for this sole to be like super loose, because you yanked it and pulled it in all different kinds of which ways. So I'm very gentle with this process. What a lot of people like to use is a butter knife. You can use a butter knife and that'll help separate it as well. What I use again is just this stapler remover. I like using a stapler remover because it has a little bit of a curve. It's flat, but it still has a kind of a sharp edge as well. So as you go in, you can like get in there without actually damaging anything, and just kind of press in. So you'll see that you kind of do like a seesaw motion here, and it'll start to unravel everything very safely. The last thing you want to do is be so aggressive that you tear the actual sole or damage the sole, because you won't be able to use it afterwards. So same thing, you guys can see here, I'm just pulling, and you'll see that this whole section now is loosened up. Let's see if we can pull the back heel portion off. Just wiggling it a little bit, wiggle, and I can hear the glue starting to come off, which is a great sign. So we got into that part there. What I like to do here is just kind of let that side keep going. Let's work on the front now. Again, it's just a process of doing it very slowly. You don't want to rush this process. Now I feel like this front area needs a little bit more acetone because it's not coming off, see? It still hasn't really separated. So what I'll do now is I'll just do a small second round, and let's dip it into the front area of the shoe, the toe box area here. Again, the acetone's still working from the first round, guys, so there's no need to rush it. But if you could see that there's a section that's not as weak as the back here, for example, this front still feels like it's really clenching on, it's not letting go. Give it a little bit of acetone, and then we'll give it about 5 minutes to let the acetone sink in. All right, y'all, gave this about 5 minutes to kind of dry and settle inside. So what I'll do now is I'll just kind of poke in a little area. I'll peel this away, and then at the same time I'll try to poke in to try to get right here in this crevice. And you can see why I like to use this stapler remover, because I can just very carefully run through, and it does what it needs to do, which is starts to separate that sole and the upper here. So same thing on this side here. I'm just gonna look for that spout where they meet and try to very carefully pry into it. This upper is a wrap, by the way. Usually you can't use the upper afterwards because all the acetone has manipulated the shape. This little section here happens to be one of the more challenging spots, so just being real careful with it here, not trying to be too forceful. So again, I'm just taking the stapler remover, I'm getting in the crevice, and I'm pulling the leather off, using a little bit of pressure just to pull it off. You're gonna do that the whole way through. So I'm gonna just try to get an area where I feel comfortable, like I could see that the stapler remover is going in. I'm pressing in and then prying. Pressing in, prying away. There we go. And you can see nice white clean line. That is the actual sole. That's what you want to get to. Now just a side note about that, Jordan Brand has been using some kind of a real new and crazy glue about in this section of the sole on the upper. You might have to really take your time on that, okay? At least the last time I pulled these off, that's exactly how it was, all right? So let's go ahead and now I'm gonna, from the back, try to peel it off. Okay. As I see here, you guys can see that? There's just a couple of spots that the upper has that glue, so just gotta monitor that. All right. Got that whole back out now, see that? So the whole back's out. I'm gonna just continue to just kind of creep in, dig in, and as I'm doing it, I'm monitoring to see if there's any glue spots. If there is, you want to try to, where's that little stapler remover? I'm going to take the remover, and I'll just try to, again, try to get in there and get that glue to be a little bit softer or pry it off. So this part's all coming off. Let me just go ahead and take it off all the way through. This might take a little bit of grunt work, but again, I'm trying to make sure that the sole, I'm not manipulating the shape of that sole, so I'm holding it comfortably. And now I told you guys, like right about this section here, at least on the laser blue, it becomes a little difficult. I got out a trusty heat gun here. The reason being that this last section here, it gave me trouble last time as well, but you guys could see, like I pointed out last time, they put some kind of a tacky glue or some kind of adhesive in this section here. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of acetone in here to try to weaken the bond first, and then I'll also hit it with the heat gun, and hopefully this guy will just peel off right afterwards. All right. Took it off, jeez. I need to hit the weight room up. That was, that had me sweating. I'll be honest with y'all, that wasn't as easy as I expected it to be, but we got the sole off. You guys could see a little bit of it tore off here. And this is that spot I was telling you guys that has that glue that Nike's putting on their Jordan 1s now. So as you guys could see, because of that, there's a little bit here. So I'll just grab a Dremel, and what I'll do is I'll just Dremel this part down to smoothen it out, all right? But we've got the sole. At this point now, we do need to clean off and sand these sections before we re-glue this sole onto our new Jordan 1 donor. All right guys, so this concludes how to take a Jordan 1 outsole off. If you guys are interested, we're doing full reconstruction tutorials on our Patreon channel. That is patreon.com/feelgoodthreads. So if you guys are interested in learning how to do a reconstruction from start to finish, please join us on our Patreon channel. If you guys appreciated this video, please hit that like button for me. Please comment below. Let me know if I could have done anything different. This was a little bit harder than I expected, but we got it done. So with that said, my name is Suheel with Feel Good Threads, and I'm out of here. Peace.